Hey, Composer Gloves here. This is the 15th video in the FM8 from the ground up tutorial series, and today we will be taking a look at the filter oscillator operator in FM8. So let's go to a new sound. You go to operator F, change it to a triangle, and route it through Z, turn Z on, and route it out. You should have that. I have the signal analyzer up and running so that you could see what it's doing to your spectrum. So the way a filter works is you have this line. Now this could get extraordinarily confusing if you don't understand what's happening here. And I experimented for a while, and finally I understood. I was like, oh, this is what's happening. So you have to understand that these controls represent one filter, but the mix controls the difference between the two filters. I'll explain what I mean in a second. First, we just need to understand what a filter does. So you have the lower end of human hearing, and you have the upper end of human hearing on these two sides. And you could control, so right now, we have these values in our spectrum. Well, we could sweep through there, and this will actually increase the volume at this particular area of the spectrum, which would be somewhere over here probably. And this is the decreased slope. So this is only letting lower frequencies be heard, and the upper frequencies are being silenced. They're going down to zero because up and down is amplitude, your y-axis. So that is essentially what a filter does. It just does very specific volume control, essentially. Now we need to talk about the routing before we can talk about the filter. So first, let's make two shapes. So this is right now on mix filter 2. So this is filter 2 shape. We come over here. This is filter 1. And let's change it to be over here, like so. Now this cutoff value bleeds between the two filters. That's part of what makes it so confusing, is our cutoff value does not change, but our shape changes. So if we have it in the middle, there's our filter 2 mode. So it's only letting filter 2 through, and filter 2. The thing that makes this so confusing is that these values stay static. They do not move. And our cutoff value bleeds through. This is, if you don't even know what I'm talking about right now, this is what you need to picture. You need to picture one filter over here and then another filter over here. And these two filters are basically being fed into this middle ground where this guy controls the cutoff for both filters, but there's this mode. There's two mode switches because this is the mode for filter 1 and this is the mode for filter 2. Thus, the 1 on the top and the 2 on the bottom. And this mix controls that bleed between the two modes, which changes the line, which will change our spectrum content. If you understood all that, great. If you didn't, there's actually a much easier way. You could just look at what the line looks like, and boom, you have figured it out. The thing that helps is just understanding how to manipulate that line. So that's what's going on. And you also have this parallel serial thing. This is also why it's not necessarily as easy as just looking at the line, is you can route it through filter 1 and then filter 2, or route it through both filter 1 and filter 2. And your mix will output what you set that as. So if you have it on just filter 2, only filter 2 will come out. Just filter 1, only filter 1 will come out. 50 is, both 50-50. So, and now both our mode knobs have equal control over the shape. And yeah, so that's pretty much that. You have your cutoff. And so to keep it simple, we're just going to deal with one filter, and I'm just going to explain it that way. But if you're looking for more complicated filter shapes and routing options, you can use this. Honestly, a third-party plugin would do just fine at this as well. Maybe even better in some cases, simply because it's a little simpler than this. But we're just going to put it on filter 2 so that we can get a high pass. And you could change it to be a low pass or this is a high pass because it only lets high stuff through, and this is a low pass. And you can change the spread. Now spread, if you have your two filters on, spread changes the resonance peaks. It changes the space between them. As you can see, there's our two resonance peaks, and it's changing the spread. That's what that is. You can, obviously you can have it as a flat line, but that essentially is no filter at all. It's not doing anything, so you may as well not use Z. And And the resonance is the peak that happens at your cutoff frequency. So you have your selecting where your cutoff is and where the slope begins, and this peak selects that. The mode changes the shape of the filter, and you can actually make it into a bandpass if you so desire. Again, move the mix knob. And we're going to change it to serial because it's just easier for me to work with in serial to get it to do what I want. That's pretty big bandpass, but it'll pass. It'll pass for now. And you can see our resonance is super obvious there. It's just a peak, and there's our spread. It's changing the resonance peaks. That's pretty much all you really need to know about the filter. This amplitude section over here is the volume level of the actual output of filter Z, which you can see reflected right here. Velocity sensitivity to a velocity sensitive keyboard. Panning, so you can route it out, which is also reflected here through your different stuff. And you have envelope amount, which affects how much this envelope actually affects the cutoff value of the filter. Like, it sets a limit on it essentially. And that is what the filter does. And that's all that really is to that. If you didn't understand the whole routing thing, I mean, this is pretty self-explanatory with the line manipulating your content up there. The big thing is the mode and this routing option. So that's how you do that. It's kind of a one-size-fits-all filter. You only have, well, technically you have two filters, but it's like, as you just saw, it's way more confusing than that. So that is the best way I found to kind of explain it right now. If you have a better way to explain it or to look at it or to see it, just drop it in the comments. Share your knowledge and the way you kind of see things so that we can all learn together. And check out my music on composedgloves.com. Subscribe if you enjoy these videos, and have a blessed day.